Okay, ready to dive into a story that's got to be one of the most, deeply ingrained stories ever. Sodom and Gomorrah,
Yeah, everyone knows about Sodom and Gomorrah.
right? Fire and brimstone, the ultimate warning, the whole thing. But we're going deeper here
Deeper.
than just the surface, right? We're going into this excerpt from My Christian Space.
Okay,
It's from their Genesis study. It's called Lessons from Sodom and Gomorrah.
I like it.
To see what other details, what's hiding in plain sight that maybe today means something totally different.
And I think one of the things that jumps out at you right off the bat is how the study puts Lot right there in the thick of it.
Yeah,
He's not just passing through, he's at the city gate.
that's such a good point because I kind of glossed over that.
Oh, it's huge.
He's not just watching the chaos unfold, he's part of the system.
Absolutely.
And the study even says back then, judges, important people, they held court at the city gate.
It's a position of power.
It makes you think, right?
Yeah.
Could Lot actually represent, like the study says, a compromising church?
That's a powerful image. And it's a question this study really wants us to wrestle with.
It is.
If Lot, sitting there at the gate, represents, those who are supposed to be upholding what's right, what's it say about the compromises they might be making?
Oh, wow.
Especially in a society that doesn't necessarily share those values. It's a parallel worth exploring, do you think?
Right.
What are, the city gates of today?
It's so true. And then there's this whole thing about the bread.
The bread.
It always gets me. It's this small detail. But Lot bakes unleavened bread for the angels. And I don't know about you, but when food pops up in the Bible,
Oh, yeah.
my ears perk up. There's always a deeper meaning, right?
Oh, absolutely. And the study picks up on that big time.
Right.
Because remember, yeast, often a symbol of sin in the Bible.
Oh, right.
So you've got Lot living in this city known for sin, offering this pure, unleavened bread. It's quite the contrast.
It's like he's holding on to, I don't know, a tiny bit of purity in this place where everything feels kind of messed up.
Yeah.
And the study connects that to, maybe modern day Christians being, I don't know, desensitized to or even compromising with stuff they might see as sinful.
It's a powerful image to consider.
It makes you think.
For sure.
And okay, we can't talk about Sodom and Gomorrah and not address the obvious, right?
Right.
Sodomy, the word itself, comes from this story, and it's loaded, often used wrong, misunderstood.
Absolutely.
It's a heavy one.
For sure.
So the study, it links sodomy to what the men of Sodom wanted to do to the angels.
All right.
And it interprets that as a statement about, same-sex relationships. And it emphasizes this call for Christians to stand strong in what they believe, even when it's tough.
Okay.
And just to be super clear, we are not, I repeat, not endorsing this viewpoint or any viewpoint for that matter.
100%.
We're just laying out what this specific study says. It's up to you listening to think about it critically, process it through your own beliefs and understanding.
That's so important, especially with topics as, complex and sensitive as this.
Right, exactly. Okay, so shifting gears a bit. Let's talk about Lot's reaction to all of this.
Yeah.
This part where he offers his daughters to the mob. I mean, whoa. Intense, much. Is he protecting his guests? Or is this a huge moral fail?
Yeah. I mean, talk about a gut-wrenching moment in the story.
Yay.
It really shows you the tangled web of his character. He's so desperate to keep some kind of peace. At least that's how the study sees it.
Okay.
But to do that, he makes this, morally questionable choice.
For sure.
It's like a warning about that slippery slope of compromise,
It really makes you stop and think, when are we tempted to, I don't know, maybe compromise our values for what we think is the greater good? Where's the line?
This question we all have to answer for ourselves. And then, just when you think it can't get any more intense, boom, angelic intervention. They strike the mob blind, with his blinding light.
It's like something out of a movie. Talk about divine intervention.
Serious?
And the study, it sees this as God being there, protecting them.
Yeah.
But it also got me thinking about blindness itself,
Ooh, that's interesting. It's not just about physical sight, is it?
No, it's deeper.
It's about not seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe refusing to acknowledge another perspective.
Right.
Maybe even a divine one.
Oh, wow. So are we blind to things in our own lives? What are we not seeing? What's stopping us from seeing more clearly?
Those are the questions.
Yeah.
And get this, even after this crazy display of power, Lot hesitates.
He does.
Yeah. It's time to escape, fire raining down, you'd think he'd be gone.
Yeah.
But he hesitates. It's wild, right? He can't move. Frozen. Even with everything falling apart around him.
Totally. It's like he'd rather be somewhere familiar, Even if it's dangerous, then take a chance on something unknown.
It's that fear thing again, holding us back, even when it's the worst thing to do.
Makes you think, are we doing that too? Holding on to jobs, relationships, whatever, that aren't good for us just because it's what we know.
Right, comfort zone. Even when it's like scorching your toes, you'd rather stay put.
Speaking of holding on, what about Lot's wife? Talk about dramatic exits. A pillar of salt just because she looked back.
Whoa, right. And the study, get this, says it's not just about disobeying like we always hear. It's deeper. She actually wanted to hold on, to keep their old life in Sodom, even with the whole city literally up in flames.
That changes everything, doesn't it? Makes you look at her in a whole new light. Not just about, oh, she shouldn't have looked back, but about how we as humans, we cling to what we know, even if it's bad for us.
Exactly. Comfort and security, even when it's all an illusion. It's like salt preserves things, right? And in a way, she was trying to preserve something that was already gone.
Makes you think, what are we so scared to let go of? What are our own Sodom and Gomorrahs that we just can't seem to quit?
It's a good question to ask ourselves. It's interesting, though, we always focus on Lot. But the study, it reminds us about Abraham.
Oh.
Imagine, right, he sees the smoke, the whole city destroyed, thinks Lot and his family gone.
Yeah.
Just like that.
It's got to be heartbreaking, just thinking about it. He even begged God to save the place, right? For the sake of the righteous folks there.
He did, but no dice. And then to make it worse, to think his own nephew gone too.
Brutal.
It is. But here's the thing. The study reminds us, God, he doesn't forget. He promised Abraham, right?
Yeah.
He spares Lot and his daughters, not because they were perfect, but because of Abraham. That's grace right there.
Amazing how it works. Even when we mess up, even when we wander off the path, there's still a way back.
100%. Even with everything happening, there's still mercy woven through it all. But we know how this goes. Lot and his daughters, they get away from the fire. But it's not exactly happily ever after. What happens in that cave? That's the part people skip over. But this study, it digs in, uses it to show our choices, they stick with us. Even those desperate, scared choices we make.
It's one of those stories, it's unsettling, but you can't look away.
Yeah, and the study uses it to show how even when you escape something awful, the trauma, that fear, it can lead you to make more bad choices.
It's like Laz, he's still reeling from everything. And it's in that state, his daughters too, they're traumatized. And they make choices that have huge consequences.
It reminds you that what we do, especially in a crisis, it can have ripple effects. We might not even realize it.
Right.
The study, it connects the dots between what goes down in that cave and then later how the Israelites and the Moabites, the Ammonites, they're all at odds.
Wow.
Like those personal choices, they shaped history.
It makes you think twice about, even when you think you're just trying to survive, what you do matters. But we can't forget, even with all that, the study, it keeps bringing up God's grace.
It's true. It's like woven through all of this, even the hard parts, there's this thread of redemption.
Yeah. And hey, remember that part where the angels strike the mob blind?
Yeah.
The study, it sees that as like straight up protection. God shielding Lot and his guests.
Powerful imagery, right?
Totally. Not only can they not see, they're wandering around, can't even find the door, but it's like, it's more than that, like spiritual blindness.
We see what you mean.
They're blind to, I don't know, a different way of being,
Right.
a higher power.
It's like they're lost, literally and spiritually. Blinded by what they want, can't find their way. But the study makes this point, this blindness, it protects Lot too.
How so?
Well, it stops the mob from doing what they wanted to do, right?
Yeah.
And it's like this reminder. When we're trying to do what's right, live by what we believe, we don't have to be afraid.
We're taken care of.
Exactly. Guided, protected, even when things are rough.
It's a good thing to remember, especially with everything going on.
For sure. But we got to remember, the study points us out. Even with all that, the angels, the rescue, Lot still hesitates.
No way, really, when they're literally about to leave.
He begs the angels. Right. There's this nearby town, Zoar. Can they go there instead? He's scared to go to the mountains, doesn't think he'll make it.
He's still so afraid.
Even with everything that's happened.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, the angels, they agree.
How?
God spares a whole town. Not because it was the plan, but because that's where Lot felt safe in that moment.
That's incredible.
It's like God saying, look, I'm right here with you, wherever you're at. He gets our limits, our fears, and he works with us.
So it's like, even when we're struggling, making mistakes, he's there, gently leading the way.
That's it. Grace doesn't need us to be perfect.
Yeah.
Just to be open, to keep trying, to trust the process.
So Sodom and Gomorrah, it's more than just a warning, right? Through this study's eyes, it's about choices, consequences, human weakness, and God's grace.
It's a story that people connect with, even now. Because it's about us, We're capable of amazing things and awful things.
Yeah.
And that struggle, faith versus fear, we all feel that.
It's universal.
Totally. And that need for redemption, for a second chance, it's in all of us.
It really makes you look at your own life. What do we put our trust in? What lines won't we cross? And what are we holding on to that might be holding us back?
Big questions. But the good news is, even in the darkest stories, there's always that glimmer of hope. So as we wrap up this deep dive, think about this. What are those little towns we're each clinging to? Maybe out of fear, maybe just because it's familiar.
And is it time to let go? To trust in something bigger than ourselves and step into the unknown bravely with an open heart?
Something to think about. Until next time, keep asking the tough questions, keep searching for those deeper truths. And never forget, no matter how dark it gets, there's always that glimmer of hope to lead us back to the light.